you're going and say the shovel.
Oh, that's a pretty good one. Mushroom can also be used for that powder glitch, so it'd be kind of funny if that came into play at all, which you don't really see it too often, but our races are off.
Our racers are off, and they start off in Link's house. They're going to go ahead and get 10 arrows. We get an early map check, and only pendant we have of note is over at the Tower of Hera. That's the blue pendant. I believe we saw number 5 over at Easter.
Yeah, so already they're ruining the sync. It's a little upsetting, but, you know, it has to happen eventually. A lot of us just seem to enjoy this opening route, which makes a lot of sense. It can take a little while to route in escape later, especially if you don't have a weapon. So doing it early, you could get an advantage over your opponent.
Well, nice 3 bombs from the uncle right there. That's going to help for Kakariko Village.
Yeah, early bombs definitely good. Wind Pearl pretty good too.
You know, you're going to have to find that Moon Pearl at some point in time, and getting it within 1 minute of the start, well, now you don't have to worry about it.
Yep, definitely. Only a burrito in the sanctuary, but had they actually found another 3 bombs in escape there, they could have had the option to go straight into escape. You only need 5 bombs to get through the dungeon, but of course it's a little bit of a bull play that early in the game, but you never know.
So here comes JSR. He's going to go ahead and go towards the south end of Kakariko Village first. Kyong is going to go towards the Lost Woods. Neither of them going to check the Lumberjack.
Nope. It takes too long.
Yeah, JSR has been becoming a grown lover of the non-lumberjack check, especially considering the fact that it can take a while to get into. We find 20 rupees inside the Thieves hideout, and JSR are going to find out what's at the race game.
Just a boomerang. It's definitely useful, but the time it takes to get the boomerang, it's probably a little bit too long than the actual use you might get out of it.
Kyong thought twice about getting that 20 rupees, but figured, hey, I'm going to need it for the village. What was it, another 20 in the library?
I just missed it because it's looking at the 20 in the forest.
So was I, and our chat will let us know exactly what that item was.
Yeah, nice little movement from Kyong there, dodging the soldier. The way the soldiers react, they kind of have 2 different modes in which they can recognize the player. There's like a faster RNG pattern and there's a slower one. And so you kind of have to juke him to not get hit there. And did a very good job juking the soldier.
Playing this game often enough, you will learn some of these nuances. 300 rupees inside the chicken coop, and we're finding a whole lot of love inside blind.
Too much love
there.
Yeah, so going from the south route seems to be working out very well. Having the 3 rupees from escape with the uncle area there. And, you don't really have to farm for the RNG bombs too much, and don't even have to bother with that 20 in the forest and a bunch of other little bits of money.
So JSR visited the clothing store of Hyrule at the bottle vendor, and Kyong will go there shortly after he's done with the well. And so far, well, there's more clothes. Red mail this early in, and was that the fire rod here for JSR2Gamers?
Yep, the R. Fire rod and red mail. So pearl, red mail, fire rod. Someone's probably going to point it out, but a pretty red sea at the moment.
So right now, the most that these guys can do is what their magic allows them to do with a fire rod.
Yeah, unlike the lamp, the fire rod does not open up any dark areas sequentially, but will come into play before long.
Okay, I'm going to go take some of those rupees, head on over to the bomb shop, pick up a pack of 10. As JSR gets ready to wrap things up here in Kakariko, we'll head up into the Lost Woods, find the 40 rupees, and the next step will probably be towards the swamp area.
Yeah, it's just kind of trading places, but a lot of early safety, and yeah, I'll know. no real push towards directions just yet. Getting some magic early might be really good here, just because they still don't quite have a weapon.
And with the skill of these runners, having red mail this early in the run means that death should not be happening at all.
Better not be happening. Gotta win. Yeah, so JSR save quitting, doesn't need to check that northern area. Probably gonna head south to the southern shore, but never know. Oh
no, he's gonna go. He's gonna go visit Sarashla.
Something you can actually do optionally is while you're going to Eastern, you can go down to that lake, hop in the water, and check the lake item on the way. It takes a few seconds, but then when you route in Zora in the water area earlier, it might be one of those little, like, you won't have to swim to it. I've seen some races do that, but, you know, of course, different people like different amounts of information.
Speaking of information, we're not going to see JSR talk to the Sarashla there, because he would give you a hint where that green pennant would be, and nothing behind his closet.
Yeah, Saskatchewan not holding out today, but kind of fun that we're getting two different checks here. Kyong checking the southern area, and JSR going into Eastern, which makes a lot of sense if you didn't get too much from Szechuan.
That mini Moldorm is really trolling around with Kyong on his Fire Rod blast. Ended up using more than 3/4 of his magic to get him down. Finally does. Gets a piece of love, some bombs for his effort, some rupees, and then 300 more rupees and 300 more rupees. Where does the seed want them to go?
Probably Agna.
We've seen races.
The money will definitely be helpful for Zora.
It definitely will be. And also because Kyong does have the Moon Pearl. Both of these runners have the Moon Pearl. They can do everything that they really need to do as far as the Zora check is concerned with the waterfall.
Yeah, it'll allow for the sequence break. It is still a sequence break, so even if they did go to Zora, there's no guarantee that he'll have the item they need. But having the Pearl can do the water walk. It's definitely really good, and these crabs are the worst. Thankfully, he's able to salvage the bomb and get a good placement so he can get into the cavern a little bit earlier, but yeah, not a fun area.
And there's the red meringue.
Yeah, so definitely you probably don't need that blue boomerang. You actually can use the red boomerang for a lot of the same strategies that you use the blue. Not just little things like hitting enemies, but even certain switches in Ganon Tower and even in Palace of Darkness. And JSR getting some very nice bomb drops here. Almost worth it to farm the skeleton, see if he'll give something, but...
Yeah, he's probably not really happy about the extra time he ended up having to spend to kill that third skull there.
No, the trick is that you're trying to spawn the skeletons into certain locations. Just an arrow upgrade on the island. But yeah, Kyong going to do the sequence break. Has the money, the pearl, and if you find the mirror, the boots, or the flute in this area, that's really huge.
Both of these runners going with sequence breaks right now as JSR goes into the dark rooms and Kyong in fake flippers.
Yeah, and so far continuing the theme of Red Seed until we got that green book.
There's the book right there.
So they have the Fire Rod, which means they have their fire source for desert. They still are potentially missing boots and glove, but it could be an indication that flippers may come pretty soon.
Just a bomb upgrade up on the ledge, which is good news, as JSR now complete with the first part of that sequence break. Gonna find out what's inside the big key chest. And, well, we already should have known by now that was going to be the big key.
What? This is vanilla. What hilarious jokes can we make about that?
And a bottle with blue goo inside from Zora. Now, that's important because that's our first bottle we've seen. And the power glove inside the big chest in Eastern.
Yeah, the G. This is good. So that actually did open up Zora having that glove. So I wonder, maybe the bottle has something.
We know the bottle can't lead to the lamp because going to get that big key chest, rather the big chest, is considered a sequence break.
That's true.
And Kyong not checking Swamp earlier. Now it's going to go ahead and activate things as JSR is going to see what the gloves lead to here. And there's some more. And oh, the Titan's Mitt.
Hey, wants to go to the Dark World without a proper weapon.
And JSR just realizes that as he started at his home. Oh, the flippers. There's the flippers in the swamp.
Yeah, so that opens up the logic for the Zora area. And so Kyong going, okay, I got my book. Let's go to desert. Pretty convenient.
Would make it even more convenient is if Kyong was able to get into Eastern and get that power glove before heading over towards the desert area.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate in that regard. He, it was fortunate getting the book and then getting the flippers, knowing that it's part of the sequence, and then being able to go over here. Not having that glove, that'll definitely hurt a little bit. Might be lucky in that you can route it later with Meyer or something, but...
All right, Sick Kid, what do we have? Sick Kid leads us to 10 arrows. By the way, that also does mean that we will not see the lamp inside Ice Palace, Misery Mire, or the Misery Mire area, or Turtle Rock, or Eastern Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see so far. On the ledge, we only find a heart container. It's pretty good to have, as opposed to a piece of heart, but they already have red mail and 2 blue potions, or they will have 2 blue potions, so they can face tank quite a bit if they need to. And we have a map check.
Yes, we do. We have Thieves Town being pendant red and Misery Mire being pendant green. And I believe, what was it? Palace of Darkness was the other of the 5, 6, or was that Ice Palace? Nope, Ice Palace was the other. And patience there from Kyong to get to wait before the enemy drops on down. A little bit of dodging. We find a small key.
Yeah, and JSR opening these 10, but not going in just yet.
Yeah, I'm doing the standard route of checking out the outside, and oh, we find the hook shot inside the sea house. And there is the lamp. It is in desert.
So it's pretty funny. They can already go to Death Mountain and check out much of the entire mountain, both Light and Dark World. Both finding a lot of little different worth between the 2 of them.
So you needed the flippers to get up to the waterfall to get to the book. That gets you to the lamp. That's quite the sequence that this game wanted you to send you towards.
Yep, and then you get the gloves. And then maybe you have to come all the way back to desert. Potentially, but...
Kyong checking the torch found out that it's not the second item of desert. We see a sword in the big chest.
That will be really handy for a dungeon like Thieves Town. JSR might just be checking the entrance bit here, and then ooh, well, hello.
The Maria.
It's so red.
I'm going to check the escape area, and it looks like JSR is doing a death abuse to get himself back to the start.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He did just get the cane, which is a really strong weapon versus blind, but he probably kind of purposed it in his heart already to death warp out. Doesn't really need to push too hard, has a lot of options in what he can check. And the first 4 are a quick check, and then you can get back to the start pretty quickly.
Yeah, plus the fact that it's a red pendant is kind of like, do I really want to go deeper in this dungeon?
If you were playing the open hard daily race, you would. because it gave the lantern, and that really changed the entire dynamic. But JSR checking, and I think he brought a bush into the hut there. He's farming for bombs. This is funny to see.
Oh, he's down to 0, and he wants some bombs for the upcoming Hype Cave check.
Yeah, and he kind of begrudgingly just leaves. Having a little bit of a crisis here, kind of thinking about the frog, but gonna go do the shovel game and then I imagine grab the frog after.
Yeah, I think his routing right now has been altered by the fact that he is out of bombs, but who knows, maybe he'll go ahead and pick some up real soon.
Yeah, actually would not be the worst to get a bomb drop from the shovel game.
Maybe the only time you ever wanted a bomb to come out of the shovel game. Oh, and this is a big number here. Oh, there's the bombs! Wow! JSR getting 3 bombs when he needs bombs badly.
What a good day. And Kyong setting up for the death warp there. Can be a little nerve-wracking when if you miscount the soldier, but counts properly, gets the hit, takes death warp.
And the worst thing is that he had to lay down 2 bombs because he had the red mail, and JSR is about to go ahead and do the Frog World Tour.
Yep, so again, quite a few quick little checks here, and Kyong making good use of his lantern. He does not have the gloves, but I forget if we did find the key. If he finds the key, then he could continue right on through to the back. But we'll get to check this dark chest as part of the logic.
I almost want to say that the key is coming up in this next chest, so that way Kyong will be able to pick up the first of the gloves.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting position these two are in. He does indeed find the keys, so he will get to continue. So that's really convenient for him. He'll find the glove, but he won't have to make a separate trip back. But between the two of them, they have very different items. And this is kind of fun just seeing how different the route is. But things are working out pretty well for Kyong here with, Lantern being able to go through and just the book, lean to the lamp and whatnot.
Yeah, this is an interesting divergence of routes that occurred right at the very beginning of this game, too. And they have not come together at all just yet. They will at some point. And Hype Cave turning out to be meaningless. Nothing good there. And Kyong getting the Power Glove.
Yeah, those heart containers were 4 sizes too small. Only 2 of them. Or was it 3?
I know, regardless of how many that we saw coming from JSR2Gamers side, it is probably 3 heart pieces fewer than what he wanted at that point. He would like to have something that helps get him a permanent weapon, perhaps a sword. The good thing about having the hookshot is that he does have a good weapon against the mini Moldorms when he decides to finally go into the mini Moldorm cave.
Yeah, it's true. It'd be really fun if he found the hammer here, too.
Maybe he'll find the sword from the swordsmiths.
No, I'll take their hammer.
And he forgot that you do have to extend yourself a little bit inside the door in order to activate the cutscene for him to go inside. And we find it's not a hammer, it's not a sword, it's 20 rupees.
Yeah, unfortunate, but in the event the purple chest turns out to be something, he's one step closer into that sequence. Kyong gonna check the back of Sriracha's hut here. Gonna find his nothing. And yeah, looks like he's gonna continue into Eastern.
Yep, and that's exactly where Kyong needs to go at this point. That's where he will pick up the Titan's Mid. JSR is going to be doing everything that Kyong has done over the last 18 minutes, so while these 2 runners end up coming back to the same path in about 18 minutes from now, we will go ahead and just figure out what's the next move. Where does the seed want them to go?
I'd say Mountain is a pretty good option. They can check a fair bit of it. They can't. They don't have the mirror or the hammer, but there's a lot of little quick checks they can do.
I have a guess. I have a guess myself where I think the seed wants him to go.
Where's that?
Skull Woods.
Yeah. It's too easy, though. Just fire on Crystal Dungeon.
And because Kyong has a sword, would be able to go through there when he gets up there. Now JSR doing the hook shot here against these mini Moldorms.
Yeah, it's very true, though. You need the sword to cut that curtain in the back half of Skull Woods. And Mega Crystal, 2 items. Definitely a good check to go to.
And JSR is going to go a little swimming here. Now, one thing that JSR might do, and I don't know how far he's going to go. If he turns around here, he's not going to do it. Yeah, he's not going to do it. Both of these guys are neglecting the hobo.
Well, he is taking a nap. I mean, he seems to be chilling.
What if he's taking a nap with footwear on?
I've done that before, and it's not the worst thing, but yeah, it would be really funny if he did have the boots. And considering that they have a fair bit of items, even for Ice Palace already, that maybe they're thinking they'll ride in with Ice Palace. That'd be a pretty fun one to do, early Ice Palace. Just need that hammer.
JSR finding out that one particular bush you can't hookshot onto. There's certain jars and bushes you can't hookshot onto, unfortunately, in this game. As Kyong picks up the big key, will soon have the Titan's Mitt in his arsenal.
Yeah, he'll be pretty happy to have that. But it is true. I'm not sure why it's the case, but I know that there's been pot in Thieves Town that you cannot hookshot as well. And this is kind of like, oh, okay.
Well, I know there's that one jar that has the bunny beam inside of it, and JSR is now heading up the mountain.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. Maybe having to do with the bunny beam kind of changing its property a little bit. Not sure, but yeah, he's going to go do his Aghanim check, imagine here, and probably go to the mountain. And it's Kyong gonna head over to the village.
I'm wondering if these runners were trying to put it off heading up to the mountain, just because at this point they don't have the hammer, nor do they have the mirror, and Hera is, although a pendant might be a place you want to check.
It can be a little hard to say, because obviously you want to maximize your trip to the mountain. I'd say having the hook shot, I mean, opening out the side, but then also the Titan Mitt kind of gave it a lot more value in that regards. It has a lot of quick little checks, and you can't necessarily route everything together. You're pretty much always looking at like a double visit a lot of the time.
So JSR making his way through the dark path up the mountain. I believe he's now in the second room, just based on how he's clinking around here.
Yeah, and this is the type of situation where a boomerang would come in very handy, because you can keep moving while you throw it.
If only JSR knew where he could get a boomerang.
This is true.
I hear you can get one if you can get one within 15 seconds or less.
Yeah, but I heard it's trash, though. But yeah, indeed, heading up the mountain, and these boulders are the worst.
Yeah, not necessarily where you want to be. It's down to 2 hearts at this point walking up the mountain, but Red Mail, he'll be fine against the Tektites.
Yeah, and so JSR checking the left side, which is good. Kyong missing his bomb a little bit, but still gets the hit, which is really good for him. This is a little bit of time and the bomb, obviously. But yeah, JSR gonna head to the other side. Has the buck, so if you do find the hammer over here, or potentially the mirror, could check out that tablet and go to Hera, but no Master Sword to get the item itself.
Well, the thing with Kyong was that was his final bomb. If he missed that and he didn't get the 50-50 chance of it being underneath the bush, then he'd have to come back a little bit later. He's not opting to go into Thieves Town at this point. We'll go to the digging game. Missing out on the Can of Samaria just for right now, but it's not in a bad spot.
Yeah, and finding the cutting board and an arrow upgrade.
So you call it the cutting board.
Yeah.
Well, it's different than everyone else calling it the Fisher-Price shield, I believe.
I saved my Fisher-Price joke for Fisher-Price internet. If the internet is being really poor, I'm like, what is this Fisher-Price internet? But it's definitely apropos for a shield too. And JSR is saying that the bomb jump nails it.
Yeah, good job doing it without the sword. Now, the game gives you a little bit of buffer because of the fact that it's going to stop you from moving backwards a little bit when you reach that boundary.
Yeah, the trick is to set up your Y coordinate first. You want to go to the bottom part of the pit, and then when you go to the left, the game will, like you said, create that little bit of a barrier. So can make it much more brain dead in trying to set up. It can still be a little nerve-wracking. You still have to be careful, but if you do mess up, you kind of have that little push.
And while you're giving that total explanation, JSR2Gamers is walking through the slow spiral cave.
And finds a hype a bomb drop, so he's not gonna have to worry about bombs for a little while.
So JSR is going to head on over to the Dark World, has 6 more chests that he can check. The 2 in the Super Bunny Cave and the 4 that are in the Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, it's not too much, but
so far this Path of Death Mountain has not paid off, as Kyong is about to make his way up to Death Mountain as well.
yeah, for JSR it made a lot of sense because he still doesn't have a sword. But for Kyong, he did have a sword, so he did have the option of going to Skullwoods, but fighter sword, Skullwoods with normal magic can be somewhat intimidating. They did have blue potion, so you know, it would still have been a good option, but yeah, he's gonna go to the mountain too. Again, lots of quick little checks. And
there's the bow!
It's a pretty good item.
So far, everything was not good in Death Mountain until then. We find the bow, which is a progression in this seed.
Yep, they'll be able to get the Eastern Palace Crystal, which will partly open up Pyramid Fairy, and they'll get to do pod. We got our TR check as they go into Hookshot Cave.
Bombos was the medallion required for Turtle Rock as JSR checks out the 4 inside the Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, so far just the money.
More money.
Some more money.
The single arrow to go with that bow he just found. And more money.
Well. This is good, so Kyong will get his bow too.
And JSR is going to head on over towards the desert by the looks of things. So pretty soon JSR will have the lamp in his arsenal. Now, the other thing that JSR is going to be able to take care of is the fact that this dungeon will be beatable because of the fact that he does have the glove and rather the Titan Smith at this point.
Yeah, and he's probably thinking, you know, even though pod has gotten a lot more attractive, still no hammer, which means he can't finish. And he doesn't have a proper weapon yet either. So, you know, having everything to do desert pretty early is definitely a good idea. Yeah, so Kyong going through, getting his items, and definitely be happy to get that bow. So be curious to see where he goes, having already done Desert. I imagine, well, I mean, he still has quite a bit to do. Like, they have Skullwoods, they have the rest of Thieves Town. Although, I doubt he would go back to Thieves Town at this point.
Yeah, at this point in time, they have accessible to at least enter. Would be Desert, which we already know that Kyong has gotten both items out of. Palace of Darkness is you can get into Palace of Darkness. You can't beat it at this point. Same thing with Ice Palace. That you can at least get into, but you're going to have certain things hammer blocked. And Eastern, you can finish off and grab the crystal out of there.
Yeah, not too many of the options are too clear cut besides say Skullwoods and whatnot, but at least with Pod, you need the big key to get to the end, and that can be placed really late. So if you do go to check it, then you know you can get a lot of items checked, and chances are you might have to go to the back of the dungeon anyway. Ice Palace is really front-loaded in the time that you have to invest even getting to any items. And then without the hammer, it just makes it a really unfortunate dungeon.
And Skullwoods is also beatable as well, which I forgot to mention during that little spiel. But, you know, there are options for these runners. They do have places where they can go. JSR picking up the lamp.
Yeah, so maybe one reason why he didn't bother going to Pot at all is that he knew that he sequence broke for the bow, and having everything for Desert, just wanted to make sure that he wasn't getting too derailed.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that you can run into playing the randomizer. When you start doing sequence breaks, you have the tendency of losing track of your sequence breaks, and you could find yourself in a lot further trouble because of those sequence breaks.
Yeah, they can kind of hurt and heal you. In one way, you might get an early advantage and help deduce where something is, but at the same time, it can ruin the track that you would have been on, and then you can potentially lose time or even just get confused with how things are going.
So it's always mindful when you're playing this game to remember what you have sequence broke and try to remind yourself of what the logic wants you to do in this game.
Yeah, not having the hammer is definitely going to start ball-necking them at some point, though. And especially not having the hammer, if they wanted to go over to Eastern Dark World, they'll need to swim over. But in that case, actually makes Redding and Catfish not too bad. Catfish is my own personal least favorite location to kind of route in. And, you know, for some people, they kind of feel like they either do it really early or they kind of leave them too. But a bit of an awkward location to go to. But in this case, it might actually be prudent to go check that sooner than later.
And here's another thing regarding the routing for both of these players at this point. JSR does have the ability to make his way over to Palace of Darkness, does have the way to make it over to Catfish, also the Pyramid, thanks to the flippers. Also to point out, we know that Aghanim is not going to be required for this seed. Why is that? Because take a look at what the 5 and 6 crystals are. Hammer can't be at Pyramid Fairy.
Yep, this is true. I do like Kyong's approach here. Even though Pod would be a fun play to go to, again, Skullwoods, Crystal can complete it, 2 items. If they don't find anything here, though, then they got a few options to them.
Decent kill there for JSR2Gamers. Gets the first crystal of the seed at 34 minutes and 20 seconds in. And Kyong skipped the first section of Skullwoods. I'm believing that the way that Kyong is routing this is that he's going to head over towards the last section here, kill Moldorm, Mothula, and then make his way to the first section and then off to Thieves Town afterwards.
Yeah, it's definitely good. I think if you have the fire rod, the time it takes to check the chest plate, you don't want to go into that first part and then not have a key enough to double back. So, you know, get the boss, you might get your one item there, and then you're only looking for one more. But it's kind of interesting that so JSR went ahead and finished Lanmola. Lanmola did not have an item, and doing Lanmola without strong weapons can make the fight take longer. So in that kind of scenario, when Kyong comes back, he might have a faster fight at Lanmola, which might save him a little time actually.
I think JSR is checking the pedestal.
Get hype, people.
JSR is checking the pedestal. So therefore, let's see if we have a pedestal required seed here in game number 2 of this best of 3 series as Kyong goes up against Mothula.
Please be the hammer.
It's possible, but it's just a little piece of love. It is not a pedestal required seed.
Reset. Do over. No hammer on pedestal.
Have we had a pedestal required seed at all in the bracket stage yet?
It's a really good question.
Mothula drops the big key for Kyong, and there's the first crystal for Kyong at 36 minutes and 17 seconds.
Yes, it's good that I got Skullwoods out of the way. I believe JSR will be joining him before long.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I believe that's where JSR is heading to now.
Yeah, it was kind of funny in the qualifier. I think there were at least 3 to 4 pestle required seeds, and in the bracket in the group stages, and I think maybe even
hammer
the Swiss
time
wasn't too much. But hey, our hammer. So who wants to go to pod? Or Ice? Or Hera?
This opens up a lot. This opens up a whole lot of the seed now.
But we all know the worth is going to be hammer peg.
What is?
It'd just be funny if they put off like hammer peg and they went to dungeon, but nope. Hammer opening up a lot to them.
So JSR gets the bomb upgrade. That is the second and the final item here in this Skull Wood. So bomb upgrade, not that impressive. The hammer, much needed.
And we have a little bit of a sinkage here.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had sinkage in this race since the 1 minute mark.
Yeah, kind of funny. Kyung's sitting up for the bomb jump. JSR like, nope, okay, gonna head out.
Yeah, JSR doesn't have the big key, which comes up to Mothula, and JSR is going to get the hammer before he gets the big key, so he'll be able to skip the bomb jump need.
Yeah, and Kyung gets the second item bomb upgrade.
And there's JSR grabbing the key out of there. We'll be heading over to the final section of this Skull Woods now. Well, first he's going to go get grabbed.
Yep, gonna head him back to the beginning of the room here. And Kyung not heading into Thieves Town. He's gonna check Bumper Cave.
What does Bumper Cave have? An arrow upgrade. Not what Kyung... well, that's good news to Kyung, because that means that the cape is not technically required for this seed for these runners, but I'm sure Kyung would like to know where certain things in this seed are.
Yeah, he's actually gonna go back into the town, so he's looking to enter Thieves Town here. So pretty interesting that he went for the early check. And so the thief is trying to get in his way a little bit.
That's the first I've seen that thief decided he was going to run on over, and that was quite the run for the thief. Got a few bombs from Kyung, and Kyung's going to soon get the Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be on the bench anymore. Put him in coach. He can tackle.
We may have to call a penalty against that thief.
JSR taking a second to wait for the wall master there. It's always fun when you fall into that hole, and then right before you transition to the fight, the wall master takes you all the way back to the beginning without your magic. But speaking of no magic, JSR, it's gonna have a bit of a fun fight here, Mothula. Does have a blue potion he can use, but Fire Sword Mothula. He does a good job too.
So JSR is going to pick up this big key, but he's not going to turn that big key at all because he's going to go check this final chest before he leaves Skull Woods. Looks like Kyong's getting ready to head on over towards the Eastern Pod combo. Now, of course, Kyong can't finish Pod and then mirror over to Eastern unless he decides that, unless the mirror turns out to be in Pod, which is a possibility.
Yeah, it's always fun when little things like that happen. So, JSR finding his convenient bombs. Maybe Kyong here will get the convenient mirror, which would probably work out for JSR as well, but it's definitely a possibility.
So Kyong only doing the first 4 just like JSR did. At this point, we are still looking for the bombos. We need to find where the ice rod is. The mirror is going to be required because of Swamp. We don't know if the boots are going to be required this seed. And we don't know if the flute's going to be required. Both of those nice transport tools, but if you don't need them, you're not going to go out your way to get them.
Yeah, it's true. So be curious to see what kind of worth we find in Pod, because they do have all of Ice Palace, and so imagine if they don't find anything here, they'll be heavily pushed in that direction. But if we do find something here, they might get pulled away for a little bit. Sometimes Crystal Dungeons, while easy to do complete knockout, they don't really have what you're looking for.
JSR is going to do Eastern first before going into Pod. Kyong going straight into Pod.
He does not believe in the mirror dream.
JSR just does not want to do the same thing that Kyong is doing at this point.
No, this is a grudge match. They're all in.
Just a reminder about this match, JSR won game 1 by all of 20 seconds. Kyong needs this to force a game 3, which would be right after this at approximately 10 o'clock Eastern. If JSR wins this, he's up against the Spring Standard Tournament champion AJ Neb, which would be quite the matchup too. And that would lock up our final 4 in this tournament.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, but things are really winding down. It'll be kind of bittersweet when it ends, but I think a lot of people, in some ways, will be relieved for the tournament to be over. But it's been a lot of fun.
And obviously, this isn't the only tournament action we have going on with Link to the Past Randomizer. In addition to the daily races that are going on with the Speed Gaming channels, we also have the final 4 of the secondary tournament going on. And what a great field we have for that.
Yeah, definitely very exciting. Yeah, so let's see. JSR gonna head into Armos, and we'll get hit 1/2 of the Pyramid Fairy requirement. Kyong getting his front-loaded keys, and soon we'll be getting a flurry of items from him. Hopefully good.
JSR going up against the Armos Knights. Having a little bit of trouble with it, but gets him tackled down, gets the compass, and that's crystal number 3 for JSR.
Yeah, and each of them take 3 arrows to kill, but if you don't kill the last 2 within proximity of each other, When the one transforms to red, they get the full health back, so another full 3 shots, no matter how much damage was done to them previously. Kyong's setting up a hammer jump here. I really do like this. No mirror, so if you have the big key and you're able to get to the chest, you're able to check it and then work your way through the back part of the dungeon. It's an NMG strat. Finding a sword, so you know that's really nice. So far, not too bad of a dungeon, but
getting the sword upgrade is one item closer to go mode, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
So the final 4 for this tournament, we already know 3 of the 4 for this. AJ Neb, Cransoon, Amazing Amphros. Which one of these 2 will join those 3 in the final 4? Zertanol, Aaron, Dobby, Dude, as well as Zane. That is the final 4 in the secondary tournament.
Yep, I have a lot of friends in both tournaments, and it's winding down pretty quickly. But yeah, learning that hammering, it's one of those little things that is good to do. Find some ether medallion, hey.
Finding the ether there just adds a little bit of anxiety, especially if you find the flute somewhere nearby.
Anxiety?
Yeah, you always want to love when you have to pop into Pendant Mire. But these runners have a lot of places where they can go.
Yeah, it's very true. Mire's a pretty fun dungeon to do, but of course, for runners to kind of it depends on the kind of race you are. Some races like a more linear seed, where execution really becomes a focal point. And then some like where it gets a little bit crazier. Execution always matters because, you want to make good use of your time. But certain players definitely do have different strengths. So it's kind of interesting what some might consider troll seed, whereas others might be like, no, that was really good. And chat asking about Pestle. Pestle was just a hurt piece, I believe.
Yeah, just a little piece of love, which is unfortunate. JSR getting a little bit of rough maneuvering here with the mimics. You know where I think the next play is going to be in this seed?
Ice to Pyramid Fairy.
Ice to Pyramid Fairy. That is correct.
Yeah, Ice's crystal has items, and we'll open up 2 more items, so definitely a possibility.
Wouldn't be surprised if we see Kyong make a trip on over to the pyramid after this to at least see what's up there.
Yeah, he might check the pyramid, or he might, of course, also be already thinking of Pyramid Fairy, and then we'll try and route the 2 in together. I see a lot of racers try and do that, which sometimes works really well, and sometimes not as well.
So Ether and a sword upgrade. Those are really the only 2 focal points of this dungeon.
Yeah, I mean, for a crystal dungeon, definitely not bad, especially a sword upgrade.
And that's crystal number 3 for Kyong, who will go back to start. And I believe the next stop for Kyong will be over towards Eastern Palace.
Yeah, it goes for the 50-50 bomb drop there, but looks like he's gonna go south, possibly check Hobo, and go into Ice Palace. Eastern obviously would be a good choice too, but probably figures that he already has his items, and if he gets boots, then he could go to Eastern quicker, potentially.
That is a good point. Definitely a good point here, as we see the first check of Hobo in this seed. They didn't do it earlier when they did the first round of fake flippering, so what does the Hobo have?
We have Rick the Prophet. We have Rick the Prophet.
Oh, the boots are at the Hobo. So what do you think is going to be going through Kyong's mind, knowing that he could have had the boots earlier if he had fake flippered up that way?
I really don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to assume that you're going to be a little bit behind. But luckily for him, it's not the case. But yeah, no, that's...
Kyong going into Ice Palace next. And that is right. I did call it probably about 40 minutes ago that the hobo was going to have perhaps the boots, but you know, it is what it is. Both of these runners skipped it, so neither of them lost because of that. JSR stepping into the flames, hoping to set himself up for a death abuse, but the flames are not even near where he wants them to be.
No, the Kodongos can either play really nice or just really not nice.
I think this is an or not in this case.
I would think you're right. But yeah, having the boots, King's Tomb and Bonkrocks are now open, so they're kind of a little bit awkward to go to, and without having the mirror to also check the ledge while you do that portion. Some races might put it off till a little bit later, especially because they do have so much they can check.
And don't forget, we are still at a minimum of 3 items away from go mode at this point.
Yeah, and Kyong set up, when you have at least level 2 sword, you can sword beam the jelly if he's in the middle of the conveyor, and then you can run into the spike trap, and it'll let you set up for the perfect pixel to get through the corridor. So had a little trouble with that to start, but then got it. It's definitely a really good little frame saving trick to do. It can be pretty interesting. Little things like that really do add up over the course of an entire run. You may think, oh, well, it's only like 1 second, but when you're in a tournament match and you only win by 2,
So far in this Ice Palace, we've yet to see anything, but we've opened up 1 chest, as Kyong will make his way over towards the right-hand side, where 3 chests do exist. Possible chances for some items here.
Yeah, in terms of like meat and potatoes of the dungeon, I'd say ice, this area of ice is kind of where you're like, hey item, hey item, hey item.
Now I want potatoes.
Dude, I love potatoes. It's probably like one of my favorite foods.
How are we going to do it, baked or mashed?
I like all, but finding the powder to season said potatoes.
Yep, there's your salt and pepper. Vanilla Big Key. JSR peppering away here on the Homicide King. And switches on over to the arrows, and let's see how many he peppers this guy with. Oh, beautiful. Almost got him. There it is. Missed on 1.
Yeah, I think it takes about 8 arrows to take down Hama. I don't remember for sure, though. Yeah, thankfully in Rando, having arrow upgrades and different resources than you would in speedrun, it actually makes that a much more viable option, especially if you don't have the right weapons or tools to deal with them otherwise.
Bug catching that was in the second item here in the Ice Palace as we continue to make our way through, and hey, we've got another spot to check with the jellies.
Yeah, Ice is a fun dungeon to route, depending on key placement and whatnot. A lot of the other dungeons are a little bit more linear, but Ice Palace actually changes somewhat dynamically depending on key placement. But finding that powder, that'll open up the Bat Cave, which, you know, again, without the mirror, it's really difficult to go and check Hammer Peg or Bat Cave specifically. You want to combo your item locations if you can.
3 bombs, that is the 3rd item of this Ice Palace. JSR is not checking Hobo before going into Ice Palace.
It's unfortunate. A lot of people pair it together, but that's not fun for him. We have to hope that he doesn't forget it. He'll be kicking himself if he does. And with a no mirror, you're gonna have to save and quit. So yeah, that's really not good for him.
Kyong making sure that he has enough magic to operate everything he needs to coming up in this Ice Palace. You need a full magic meter to go up against Cold Stare.
Yeah, Cold Stare, very scary boss, but Fire Rod, to break the shell, cannot miss but has a potion. And then you do have a Hammer and Master Sword, so not the worst fight with the red mail, but still just have to be careful.
Both of these runners have 2 bottles of blue goo that they got earlier in the run, and if Kyong wanted to, he could go ahead and set himself up with another round. I think he's going to want to make sure that, there he goes, he's going to use it now. I was going to say he's going to want to make sure he doesn't get hit one more time, and then he'll use it.
Yeah, using the potion would have a dual purpose. When you finish a fight, it actually takes time for your magic and health to refill. So having those filled up will actually save a little bit of time. But, you know, so you can think, well, even just for the health upgrade, it'd be good. But Fire Rod does quick work on Cold Stare. Kyong making work of Cold Stare, gets his crystal.
And with that, that is the 4th crystal for Kyong. The only crystal that Kyong has not picked up that JSR has is Desert, and, well, that's a very, very short check, so Kyong will eventually get over there as well. Also, Eastern, Kyong hasn't picked up either, so that's where the 4-3 difference is at this point.
Yeah, and what will be really huge here, so besides not getting the boots, there's a good chance that JSR, if he didn't forget that he's gambled Hobo, so if there is something in this King's Tomb or in this Bonk Rock, that will be a huge deciding factor.
Let's find out. King's Tomb, 5 rupees.
So if you are wanting a game 3, you know, hope for an item. If you don't want a game 3, well, you know.
Yeah, I hope at that point in time JSR gets to the boots as soon as he can after he's done with the Science Palace. Obviously, I've mentioned before, he is going to have to do the save and quit. And inside Bonk Rocks, another boot block. Are we having a boot block seed?
Bombos.
Oh, yes, that's the Bombos. Required for Turtle Rock.
Hobo required.
And Kyong's gonna go check the lumberjack right now, and we'll find out that it's just a heart container.
Yeah, that's I mean, I think a lot of people want a game 3. Obviously, it's big for Kyong, but you know, you don't necessarily want to see a racer lose that way. The race is still very far from over, but it'll give a huge advantage to Kyong here. We've seen other things happen before too, but that's definitely a huge boon to him.
Yeah, we can't call this a game 3 just yet. It all depends on how long it takes for JSR2Gamers to get to the Hobo. And here's the thing at this point. JSR2Gamers is running out of options where anything that's progressive can be.
And it's very true. And it's really fortunate in that regard. Not finding the flute, not finding the mirror, little things like that will definitely help steer him in the right direction sooner than later.
But if this magic bat has something big... Oh, tempered sword. That's nice, but not game-changing. Because I tell you what, if that was the mirror to get you into Swamp Palace, that's going to send JSR into a completely different path that he doesn't need to be in at this moment, at this time.
Yeah, the problem is that they will find progression, but it depends where JSR chooses to find that progression. So if he chooses that Hobo, we'll have that progression, and then he'll check Hobo, because they are running out of options here. Kyong is going to get his 2nd crystal for Pyramid Fairy, and then we'll do the Pyramid Fairy check. It's probable that there is something there, but you almost kind of hope that it doesn't have something there because it seems really obvious. And then JSR will go there, get a little bit more progression, and then we'll just get strung along further, potentially.
I seriously think Giselle Shaft right now, this seed wants them to go into pod. Not pod. They want them to go into Turtle Rock. This seed wants them to go into Turtle Rock.
Which would be really good for JSR. So now it's kind of a little bit of a nail-biting moment, and Kyong does go to Pyramid.
So JSR picking up the crystal out of Ice Palace. Kyong making his way through the small confines of the Eastern Palace will soon have the crystal out of there.
Yeah, again, the big thing here is that he's forced to save and quit. So obviously, going all the way back for Hobo might not be the most appealing. But you never know.
He is starting here, so there's a possibility. But he's probably doing Pyramid Fairy instead of going to Hobo.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So we have to actually hope that there's nothing here.
Like
and
I
we
said,
have to hope that Turtle Rock is worth.
Yeah, like I said, the worst thing that JSR could find at this point is the mirror. Because if that's the mirror that puts him into Swamp Palace, and Swamp Palace is a long dungeon.
Yeah, so hold on to your Ajnab emoticons, because we're about to find out really quickly.
Beautiful kill against the Armos Knights for Kyong. Picks up the crystal.
Yeah, there's a couple little tricks that can do this giant bomb, but I think we'll just kind of let the suspense build up a little bit instead.
You know what?
Where's Kyong going?
Let me say this seriously. Kyong's going to check the Pyramid Fairy too. Let me say this seriously. Actually, for JSR, the better case scenario is maybe he will find the mirror, because maybe that will make him think of the Hobo. There's a heart container up on Pyramid Ledge. That's the first time we've seen it.
Yeah, so here we go.
So inside the Pyramid Fairy, we have a 20 rupee and we have
money.
50 rupee. No progression.
So, JSR, did you check Catfish?
JSR's checking Catfish. Kyong hoping to get this bomb before it blows up, and saves it just in time.
Yeah, the key is that you want to transition while the bomb is at 0. There's a lot of low ways you can do it. One method is if you defeat Aghanim and you don't have the boots, or well, even if you do have the boots, you can leave Link's house, place the bomb, and then just walk all the way to the north, and it'll automatically time it perfectly for getting the bomb respawn. You can also do some other funny stuff with the mirror and whatnot, but very good of him to know and to do that.
20 rupees at Catfish. Nothing good there. Kyong will be making his way over to Catfish as well. So JSR now going back to the start. So hopefully this is going to be the... Nope, never mind. Nope. He's going to escape.
It's really unfortunate too. It's one of those one-off locations. And so it makes sense why he's not going there. But as a viewer, you know, we all know where he really needs to go.
So we know that this escape is going to come up empty for JSR2Gamers. Where does Kyong go next after this? Like I said before, I really think this seed is trying to push him up to Turtle Rock based on having both the Fire Rod and the Cane of Samaria coupled with the Bombos.
Yeah, they've also opened up the book check They cannot do Spike Cave logically yet, but they can do Hera, they can do Turok. So the mountain, as Kyong is agreeing, is a very solid option to go to. So really, this is just a race against time in terms of JSR needing to find those boots sooner than later. Every second he's not finding those boots is directly bad for his race.
Yeah, because you can see in his movement, he's moving around super slow. Just take a look at the time that it took for Kyong to head up to Catfish versus what it took for JSR to get up to Catfish.
Yeah, the longer it goes on, the worse it gets, but what would work in his favor is if there is still a trolley item left in the world, forcing Kyong to do a lot of these little checks. Obviously, having the boots, he'll be able to get very solid ground, but JSR will have to find the boots eventually. So having one item be as trolly as possible, forcing Kyong to keep searching, is what will really help him at this point.
JSR doing the death abuse here, or trying to. Doesn't help when you get hearts to fall. And he's going to go ahead and stop. So thankfully, he should know at this point that there is a key right in that final chest. So he's not going to bother to check it. But JSR heading up to the mountain. And there's the ice rod in Hera.
That's good and not good. But yeah, Turok. Yeah, and JSR just going to the mountain. He'll get his fire rods, so he'll know that he needs to go into Turok, but won't be able to enter.
The worst thing for JSR is if he decides to go into Turtle Rock without going into Hera, but thankfully he is making that path over towards Hera, because you can check two things by doing this. You can first of all check what's at the tablet, and then you can go ahead and go into Hera.
Yeah, he still needs to get bombos for Turok, but he will get his ice rod here. I don't think we saw the second item in Hera, so if it had mirror something, it'd be really good.
Mirror would be the best case scenario for right now for JSR2Gamers, as I am corrected. He cannot get into the Turtle Rock because he can't get the bombos, because that is beyond a block at this point.
Yes, this is really good if JSR does find the mirror in here. And yeah, they did check to answer chat. They did check the Pyramid Fairy, and it was his money.
Remember, JSR does have a game he can afford to give at this point. However, the problem is you might be on tilt heading into game number 3.
Potentially, but he does have that barrier, that buffer, which is really good. Even though it looks really unfortunate for JSR at the moment. Again, he does have that game to give. You don't necessarily want to give it, but it's better than being on elimination and having something unfortunate like that happen.
So JSR is going to continue through the path here of the Tower of Hera. And once again, if the mirror turns out to be here, that's big news here for JSR.
Yeah, because Kyong will be forced to save and quit from Turok if the mirror is in Hera. So there's no guarantee that he'll make that entire trip back up the mountain, especially because he has to go the long way. So that's really what we're hoping for now.
Nice patience there from Kyong, waiting for the chain chomps to make their move before he ended up moving towards the chest. That allowed him to get through unscathed.
Yeah, so this is really tense. It's a race to the mirror.
You know what, Giselle Shaft?
Huh.
The thing that we talked about earlier could still come into play. You remember how you talked about needing the mushroom for go mode, and I talked about the shovel needed for go mode?
That's true. We have not found either.
Both are still up for grabs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the mirror was not in Hera for JSR. So he'll check his tablet, get his piece of heart, and then we'll need to make very quick decisions.
Kyong making the way through Turtle Rock. This is something that JSR can't do. I think JSR is going to check the Spike Cave while he's up here.
Yeah, it's going to be a sequence break, but maybe he figures in the logic that one of the areas he missed could be a safety to get through. And he's on the mountains, why not check?
So all we are missing is a mirror for go mode. That's a heart container. That's not a mirror. We can guarantee you at this point that it is going to be a go mode swamp coming up.
Some people really don't like swamp, and that's their they like to put off for go mode, but JSR only finding 20 rupees, so he will have to figure out what to do, and I think he might be going into town to check Batcave.
I have no idea what Kyong found in that chest because we apparently missed it in the middle of the slideshow that's going on. I think it may have been a key. I don't know 100%. I know there's 0 keys next to Kyong's meter, though.
Yeah, but there's a bridge coming up, so he'll get a lot of quick little item checks here, too.
Well, he might. We might not.
This is true. Yes, JSR indeed going to go check the bat.
There's the
safety.
blue cane.
So we know that one of them has a key. And
And
the
it's
other one
gonna be
has
the last one.
bombs.
JSR getting the tempered sword now, and next idea is where to go. So, one thing that these guys haven't checked yet is the lunchbox.
Yeah, and they also have not checked Hammer Peg. So JSR is now going to, more likely than not, make both of those checks. Using the hook shot for a little bit more mobility. Normally when you walk, you move at about 1.5 pixels per frame. Using the hook shot, you go at 2 pixels per frame.
What really allowed JSR to move a lot faster is if you got some soggy boots from a hobo that's sleeping.
This is true.
And Trinex is going to have the map, by the way. I think. Yeah, he's going to have the map.
So, imagine if JSR finds the mirror. Oh, he's going into Thieves Town.
That's right, because we only found, I think, 2 items in here. 2 out of 4.
Yeah, found Kansamaria, but still a good chunk of the dungeon left to do. We know Pestle is not required. It has a piece of heart on it.
And there is the map from Trinex. Kyong coming on down with the mountain with a decision to make now. I think Kyong is going to be down to the same amount of options that JSR has at this point, although the amount of options that JSR has for where anything else could be in this seed is very, very limited at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, you know, obviously had everything to go do Turok. So yeah, go Turok and really hope like for the mirror or something. So it's ideal that Kyong gets chosen items for JSR, but he'll find the mirror, and that will, when he finds the mirror, he'll probably, if he does find it here, will probably get pushed to swamp, unfortunately.
There's the map. That's not what we need to see just yet. I think Kyong's going to be pushed into heading into Thieves Town next as well.
Yeah, having gotten the boots, it makes the dungeon pretty quick to dash through. Boots really get to their maximum potential when you try to dash at the longest distance. Bleh, at the longest distance possible. It takes 30 frames to start up your dash, and you kind of just get to continue gains as it goes on.
You're seeing this pretty much how Kyong is just making his way up through the hallways and whatnot. We do know this is going to be a key from the maiden here. Now, what is inside this chest? We now have the remaining 2 items in this Thieves Town. There's
Bottle.
blue goo in a bottle.
That is 3 blue potions they've gotten this run.
Could we make it 4? What if Blind has potion number 4?
That would be so funny.
Is he giving them all the health? It gave him a red mail, what, 5 minutes in?
That was a pretty fun start to the fight. Okay, so the moment of truth
is down. The item, the mirror!
So Kyong will be getting his mirror shortly. No mushroom or shovel trolling.
And that now means that we hear the thousands of us watching on Speed Gaming and the commentators are in no mode. Kyong will be in go mode in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and so JSR getting his mirror, even though he doesn't know about the boots. And where is it going?
JSR, you've got to go to the Dark World if you want to go into Swamp Palace. And he just realized it.
So that feel when hour 18 minutes, you never did so sure.
So
yeah,
that's... I was gonna say that's one of the things that makes you wonder how JSR is gonna be when he plays game number 3, if he has to, as Kyong grabs the mirror, and at 1 hour 18:01, Kyong92, the first of these 2 runners in
go mode.
Go mode indeed.
Yes, unfortunately, obviously JSR just getting the mirror will feel behind even just from that alone, and he's going to do a full swamp clear
without boots.
Without boots. And Kyong will get to go mode it, so yeah, very very strong advantage to Kyong here.
If there's a game 3, it will be coming up right after this match. These guys will take probably about a 10-minute break. Think about what they've done. Talk to us if they feel like it. And then we'll have game number 3 right here on twitch.tv/speedgaming.
I really like how you set that up. Think about what they've done if they want to talk. But yeah, it's very true. And Kyong will actually get to go into desert with a tempered sword too.
Yeah, that's going to make the Lammola fight a whole lot easier. The best case scenario here for JSR2Gamers is that he finds no fetch quest items here.
Oh, I thought you were going to save Kyung's Skin Crush, but that would be really good too.
We wouldn't wish something like that upon our runners.
No, of course not.
Because even though that could be a possibility, we do not want to see that. We want to see these runners exert great skill, and we want to see the winner come out of this because they truly were the person that was the fastest and the skilliest, if that's even a word. I don't think that is, at being able to complete this game.
Yeah, I was thinking the follow-up like randiest. I'm like, but no, I agree. It's fun to joke about, but yeah, you wouldn't want someone's game to crash and anything like that. But it's true, yeah. The best case for him is no fetch quest.
And we're gonna see the big difference right here, as Kyong will end up just going right straight to Argus while JSR is opening up chests. And okay, JSR is gonna go left-hand side. JSR is starting to go on tilt. You can tell it just based on how his motions are, how his actions are, the fact that he went to swamp in the light world, and how he was just reacting there in that switch room. It's just suggesting to me, oh, there goes the dream, by the way.
Yeah.
But just the way that JSR is going about this, you can tell that he is starting to lose his focus. He's starting to go on tilt.
That's pretty understandable. You're in a very high-pressure situation. You're up one game. You don't want it to go to a tiebreaker because that just adds more pressure. And find that late mirror, you know, just everything. Not a fun feeling.
So Argus with the tempered sword, going to be an easy fight for both of these runners. Should be able to tackle him down quite easily. And Kyong going to finish things off here against Argus. And there, uh-oh,
That's not good.
Oh, that's not good for JSR. That's gonna send them over to Meyer.
Not like this, not like this, not like this.
I told you we didn't need any fetch quests. That
well, you got your
just
way.
as bad as a fetch quest.
Darn it, Rick. Called the boots, that was good. They said no fetch quest, but you got a flute. Should said no fetch quest, no flute.
I'll try to make sure that when I commentate a match in the Final Four, that I will be a little more specific about my request to the random luck that's in this game. I blame Giselle Shaft.
How rude. But yeah, unfortunately, they'll just lead JSR even further away. He'll get the flute, and you know, he's probably thinking, "Oh man, you know, like I'm way behind. Don't have the mirror, you know, and you know, left side only having butter. Get the flute. It's like could have gone to Meyer, and just goes from there. But he'll see the dot done, and you know, hopefully he'll be able to clear his mind before game 3.
I would expect at this point that JSR will have the boots by the time that Kyong makes his way over to Ganon's tower.
Yeah, and well, because he'll activate the flute, and then he'll go do Meyer, and then he'll finish Meyer, I'm sure. So Kyong will be in the tower by then. He'll be right around Aghanim 2, maybe. Yeah, just just an unfortunate heartbreak.
I bet JSR is going to be feeling even more nervous once he does go find this flute here. As Kyong going up against the Lammolas. And misses on one fire rod shot, but it doesn't really matter. Lammolas are down. Kyong92, the first one off.
Yeah, we got our crystal sink. And Rick, do you know what time it is?
I believe it's time for us to do a guessing game. There are going to be 22 possible chests that are going to be on this upcoming walk up or downstairs in Ganon's tower. What we're having you do is pick a number between 1 and 22 that corresponds to the order that Kyong will be opening up these chests. One of them is the big key required to get on up the tower itself. So pick a number. And Giselle Shaft? Isn't there like an incentive for people who are supporters of speed gaming?
Yeah, if they contribute to the channel by either donating or subscribing, you might have your chance to get your name on a leaderboard.
And all you have to do is get 250 bits to any of the speed gaming channels or a subscription to the channel. And we do appreciate all the support that you guys give for the speed gaming family of channels. That's JSR is going to unfortunately activate the flute. So we're going to keep the open here until we see Kyong make his way over towards the very first chest. So there's still some time to get those numbers in. Giselle Shaft, I'm going to say number 14.
Oh, that's pretty close to what I was going to say. I was going to say, well, rather, I am saying, I think I'm going to go with 16.
Well, let's go ahead and see how this works out. So as the numbers continue to flood in chat, still a few more seconds to get your numbers in. Let's see where this big key turns out to be in Ganon's tower. Kyong trying to force a game 3 of this best of 3 series. The winner takes on the spring tournament champion AJ Neb in the final 4.
It'd be pretty funny if between all the people that watch the channel, at the first 5 numbers that came in every time, someone was like, yeah, that's giving my lotto numbers.
Chest number 1 is a heart container, 2 is a small key, and Kyong is going to go right-hand side.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty popular play, and it makes a lot of sense to, you know, get your key, go over. It doesn't take too long to get to the 4 chests, and then switch over.
Yes, we hope to switch on over to the audio of Kyong92 if it is available to us in just a moment. But JSR checking in. This is tough to watch for JSR because JSR might think this is the path the game wants him to go. It's just one loose bingo square on the board is going to be what causes him a lot of heartbreak in this seed.
Yeah, and Kyong checking up to chest number 6, I believe.
That is correct. We're at number 6, and that was a fire shield for Kyong, and it's time to head up to the left side. And, well, there you go. There's the mirror shield. So 2 shields in Ganon's tower.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And that is number 7.
That is correct. That is counted as one of the chests here because it is one of the items. Kyong now making his way into this nasty little room. 8 is a small key. 9 is a piece of heart. 10 is a small key. And 11 is 100 rupees. We're continuing on this path.
Yep, I already have 4 keys. Continuing through the left.
So this one,
12 here.
Number 12 is a piece of heart. My only question is what JSR's reaction going to be when he does finally find the boots?
Hopefully no more fetch quests. Big 20 in King's Ledge. And 20 in Ganon Tower.
Yep, and that was number 13.
Get hit for 26.
JSR heading on over to the Ice Rod Cave, and hopefully that will make him start thinking of the hobo next. 14, Piece of Heart. 15 is the big key. Apparently it's right between both of us.
Yeah. So in that case, you would win if we're doing Price is Right rules.
That would be correct. So if you picked number 15, you are the winner. And today's big winner, the Don013, is the one that's closest that is a supporter without going over. Or rather just closer to going over, closest to the number.
Yeah, and some people in chat bemoaning not having the bits for the channel.
Just remember, it's 250 bits if you want to get yourself on that leaderboard. JSR going to check the hobo.
This is really good. So he'll get his boots, and then he'll probably find Bombos and feel some ways. But
I bet JSR is going to feel really, really sick. Like, JSR is going to start thinking, where's that dot done? The second he picks up these boots. And there are the boots.
Yeah, and he's going to know too, because he could checked it, not only checked it way early, but then even when going to Ice Palace could have checked it too.
Yep. And the thing that JSR might be thinking at this point, Kyong got those boots in about 15 minutes into this run. That's what's probably going through JSR's mind, not knowing that Kyong waited until he was going into Ice Palace to check it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, you know, going and checking can take a little while, and so, you know, it's easy to put off. But in this case, you know, even though it would have been a sequence break in some way at some point, just, you know, having the boots to mobility is really good.
And 15 minutes later, JSR2Gamers is now in go mode with the bombos in hand. But you don't have time to sit there and be upset about what just happened. You got to continue on with this seed because you still, once again, have not seen that dot done.
Yeah, you have to operate under the assumption that your opponent made the same mistakes. Because if you defeat yourself before it's over, and then you find out, oh, I lost because I didn't really, you know, put my full heart into it, you know, then it's just your fault for not going through. It's really unfortunate. It's really difficult to go through, but you need to operate as though in some ways your opponent did things right, but in a lot of ways that your opponent did not do things right. Not to discredit them, but you can never count yourself out because, you know, mistakes happen for everyone.
Yeah, you never know when your opponent made the same mistake or mishaps. JSR still has to go through Turtle Rock. So therefore, we're talking quite the distance between these two runners at this point. So the question is will JSR continue on with a seed after Kyong finishes, or will he just go ahead and take that break and go right straight to game 3?
You know, normally I like to finish off races, but I think in terms of their situation, I would say it's best to just stop. You know, it's not a pride thing at that point, or just like, hey, look, I could finish. It's, you know, you need the mental break. You want to take a little bit of break. They're scheduled to do the tiebreaker. So I think it would be best to just, you know, stop. And it's no disrespect to anyone or their opponent.
No validation chest check, which is not really what was required. You don't need to bother checking that. There may just be a map in there. Who really knows? Well, we know there's no map in there because he already got it, but it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, JSR accidentally missing the shot here. A little unfortunate, and hopefully he can make it to the door real quick here.
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff that you're seeing from JSR at this point is just being on tilt after what's happened to him.
Yeah, it would happen to anyone. Just, you know, when it finishes, take a break, regroup. Very good runner, very skilled, and you know, he knows it too. He's gonna be like, yeah, okay, you know, it was a one-off. But Kyong taking down Aga2, about to head into Ganon.
Yep, Tempered Sword, Silverless Fight coming up here for Kyong. And I know that he does have still a Blue Guna bottle somewhere in there in his arsenal. By the way, JSR did find Butter Sword somewhere.
Yeah, he found that in Left Side Swamp. I don't think it's gonna save him here, but we'll have even less incentive to check the final chest in Ganon Tower should he get there.
Nice setup here for Ganon on this part of the fight here. Gets him into stage 2 immediately.
Yeah, a very good RNG.
Once again, stay tuned. Game 3. If Kyong is able to hold on here, we'll be coming up right immediately after a quick break for both of these runners. So stay tuned for that coming up here on Speed Gaming.
Yeah, so Kyong almost done with phase 3 here. Doesn't have silver arrows, which are in the light world.
Very few spots that were not checked in the light world.
Maybe shovel leads to it.
Could be the shovel. Also could be Haunted Grove.
Mimic Cave. Oh, Kyong taking a hit here. Let's be careful.
Yeah. Well, Mimic Cave, I believe, would be marked as Death Mountain. And then also, don't forget, there was also the purple chest, which is part of the light world too.
It's true. So I guess really, shovel spot and Mimic Cave.
We may find out in the ending credits. Also, Mushroom could have led to it too.
Yep.
And there it is. Kyong will finish off with the Ganon fight, and we will have a Game 3 between Kyong92 and JSR2Gamers. After the fanfare here for Kyong92, congratulations. Get your GGs on out. And Kyong will finish with an SRL time of 1:37.41, and JSR too far back is going to forfeit so we can get ready for game number 3.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. He's just saying that he's just gonna call it since he's still a little ways away, which I think is really smart. You know, take a little break.
So cool seed, right?
It's a pretty hot seed in the beginning with all the red items.
Absolutely. I mean, this seed is asking us, right, Giselle Shaft? You thought this was a cool seed.
Yeah, cool seed, bro.
Indeed. I enjoyed it.
Oh, it was definitely fun to watch and commentate. A little unfortunate with the boot fiasco, but otherwise, it was still really good.
And we welcome in JSR2Gamers into the conversation. GG.
GG. Might be having some mic issues. Not sure.
There we go.
Oh. Hello.
How's it going, guys?
And it's going pretty good. How's it going for you?
I'm a little disappointed, to be honest. Just, I felt like I was doing really well really early, but there's always that one spot that I gambled on not having something, and this time it came back to bite me in the butt.
Yeah, and you know exactly what it was in this seed.
I mean,
So my question to you is, when you found out that the hobo had the booze, what was going through your mind at that point?
I was thinking, because the flippers were in swamp, the Light World swamp. I'm thinking to myself, he probably had early boots. He probably had, you know, all this access to these areas. And at this point, I'm almost out of spots anyways. It was either dive back into Ice Palace, King's Tomb, Bonk Rocks, or the Peg Cave, Gary's Chest area. That's all I had left. So I figured, well, it's easiest to get to Bonk Rocks. When I saw Bombos there, I knew it was over. I knew he had to have been way ahead at that point.
Well, here's the thing that you didn't know. He didn't get to the hobo at the very beginning when both of you guys did fake flippers to get up towards the waterfall area. He ended up skipping out a hobo and finally only checked him on his way over to Ice Palace. And
you know what's funny is I fully intended to go to hobo after Ice Palace, but because I forget what it was in Ice Palace, there was something in there. I can't remember what it was, but there was some reason. Was it the mirror? I can't remember for sure. There was something in Ice Palace that caused me to change my plan, and I just totally forgot to check either Ice Rod Cave or hobo. And I mean, it's disappointing. It is, but there's only so much you can do. It's randomizer, you know.
Yeah. We were
Yeah.
getting really worried when we found out that the flute was at Argus, because we felt that was going to send you in the wrong direction.
Oh, I was totally headed into Mire if Mire was Ether. I mean, I totally intended on going to Mire, and when I saw it was Quake, I was like, oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, it was really fortunate in that case, because we were like, well, you know, hopefully there's no fetch quest items, but then we found the flute. But hello to Mr. Kyong. GG's on your wing. Congratulations.
Thanks.
GG, sir.
GG.
So
I assume you found the mirror earlier and got that flute.
No, actually, I didn't go to hobo until I ran out of options, and then
So yeah.
there was only 4 or 5 spots left, and that's when I found Bombos. So I had double dove Thieves Town. I had full cleared swamp. It was bad.
Yeah, you two actually entered Thieves almost at the same time. JSR went in first, and because at that point you didn't have the boots, and Kyong had the boots, but he was looking for mirror, and so it was kind of like, you know, obviously you're hoping for certain item placements that it'll kind of push you, you know, towards hobo or something, but then you found the mirror. Then shortly after, Kyong found the mirror. You both ended up double dipping Thieves. Same idea.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, going up against a strong opponent, you know, you make gambles sometimes, and in this case, skipping hobo totally backfired on me. And I mean, it is what it is. And I'm excited for Game 3. This should be pretty hype.
So JSR just gave us your thoughts. Kyong, what's your thoughts heading into the winner takes all Game 3?
I don't know, really. I'll do my best, I guess.
Well, let's give them a wow of a race. We already had a 2-second differential earlier today. May we have an exciting race between two great skilled competitors who deserve to be at this position in the tournament. Good luck, guys.
Thanks a lot. Good luck, and GG Kyong. Thank you guys for the commentary, and yeah, let's do this, man.
So
Very
we're
exciting.
absolutely. So we're going to take about a 5 to 10 minute break here for these guys to regroup, take care of things and whatnot here, while we go ahead and swap commentary. Giselle, Chef, I had fun doing this with you.
Yeah, always a pleasure. It's a lot of fun to do.
Special thanks to Melee, Wizard, our tracker, as well as Fizo and the crew at Speed Gaming for the restream. And, of course, our runners, Kyong92 and JSR2Gamers. So we'll take a quick break, 5-10 minutes from now. Game 3. Winner takes all. Winner will take on AJ Neb in the Final 4. Let's have some fun. Giselle, Chef, send us on out of here.
Yeah, just to mimic that statement, thank you everyone who supported and helped with the stream. Shout out to our tracker, Melee Wizard. Shout out to, you know, Restream, everyone, co-commentator, and the racers. Good luck, and we'll see you later.
Let's
Bye.
get it on. See you guys later.